Welcome, educators. I'm Debbie, your host today for Educator's Financial Foresight Weekly, your step-by-step guide to financial peace of mind. Now, have you ever wondered, how does Social Security really work? Will I qualify as an educator? And if I do qualify, does it matter when I claim my benefits? Well, stay with me to uncover what benefits you're entitled to and how to make them work for you. Teachers, you give so much every day. You're shaping lives and you're inspiring the future. But when it comes to your retirement, the path forward can feel uncertain. If you're an educator juggling demands of busy schedules and financial stress, you are not alone. Many teachers worry about outliving their savings, or managing their pension, or ensuring long-term care without burdening their family. With pensions often alone falling short, many educators struggle to bridge the gap between what they need and what they have for a secure retirement. That's where Educator's Financial Foresight Weekly comes in. Each week, I'll guide you through clear, actionable steps to understand your pension and spot hidden gaps, build a retirement income strategy tailored to your needs, protect your savings from inflation and unexpected costs, and plan for long-term care and estate needs without burdening your loved ones. Your career has been about making a difference. Tune in every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern on YouTube and LinkedIn. Let's build a retirement as rewarding as your career. Hello, I am Debbie Major, former teacher turned financial planner, and I am your host each week for Educator's Financial Foresight Weekly. I want to thank you for joining us, and if you have a minute and can like and subscribe, it would really appreciate it. Today we're going to dive into Social Security. It's a piece of the retirement puzzle that many educators don't understand, and that makes sense because a lot of educators may not have even had any access to Social Security, and so they don't know what's out there and what they may be able to get, or they used to be hit by the WEP or the GPO, and I talked about that in an earlier segment, so that you could know that those had gone away. Well, Social Security can seem complicated. In fact, if you look at almost any seminar the financial planners do, it's almost always on Social Security because they can do it over and over again, and they know people will come because it's such a big decision that you have. It affects so many people, and there's lots of moving parts. Like, when do you file? How do you file? If I can file, and how does working affect your benefit? So my aim today is to give you some clarity in the basics to help you clarify so that you know what questions you have to bounce off from the basics and you get a direction on which to go. So join us as we go along that path. Now, many educators urgently ask a lot of questions, and they're good questions like, when do I file? How do I know if I can get the most out of my benefit? Do I qualify for spousal benefits? How long do I have to work? Those are all kinds of questions on the hows and the whys. And then you get these other questions like, will Social Security even be there for me when I retire? And, if it will be, what am I going to get and when? So we want to be careful as we listen to this overview of advice. And we want to come with our questions, and we want to say, I know there may be some issues. I hear it in the news all the time with Social Security. What is going on with Social Security? Is it a planning tool, or is it something that I just throw on and say, if it's there, it's there, and if it's not, it's not? So here's some basics to understand. To be eligible on your own record for your own benefit, you need 40 credits of work. And that's roughly about 10 years of work. Your full retirement age is the age that your benefit is based on. So if you're born in 1960 or after, your full retirement age is 67 right now. So the formula that they're going to use on your top 35 years is going to be based for you at age 67. You can take it as early as 62.
but it will be reduced off that benefit that was figured to be your benefit at 67, your full retirement age. On the flip side, you can say, oh, I'm going to wait and take it later so that my benefit will increase. And you can wait until 70 if you want to. There isn't a benefit to wait till after 70 because it stops growing at 70 years old. But between 67 and 70, it will increase 8% per year if you wait to take it and get a bigger benefit. Now, for a lot of educators, they have worked part-time and over the years, or maybe they worked before they were teaching, things like that. And so you may get your 10 years of in, it may not be this huge benefit. We hope, or I always say, I hope that we at least cover your Medicare Part B payment so you don't have to worry about that coming out of any check. And then you can use it as a structure for, one of the pillars to plan on. The other thing is, though, that most educators, or a lot of educators, are married to spouses who are in the private sector, who have been paying into Social Security, who have been paying into the 401k, and have been not in the state retirement system. If that is your case, then you would be entitled to what's called a spousal benefit. Now, there are rules around it on how much you can, on what you need to be able to be eligible for it. But basically, it's 10 years of being married, or if you were married 10 years and then you were divorced, you could apply for spousal benefits on your spouse's record at Social Security, on their earnings at Social Security. That's going to be, that benefit is 50% of what the full benefit is that your spouse would receive. So if you didn't work at all, you still can claim a benefit on your spouse's work record and get a benefit that way. The other important benefit, and this is even a little more important than the spousal benefit, I think, is that survivor benefits. They were really wiped out when I had clients who had, were in the state teachers retirement system. They had to, when the spouse would pass, they had the spouse's survivor benefit could go down by 2/3. Well, not anymore. So if you are married and your spouse passes away before you are entitled to survivor benefits, and that benefit is going to be the same amount of money that they were receiving. Now, sometimes it may be discounted if you take money before your full retirement age, and there are nuances, but for the basics, just to kind of give a high-level view of what you can think about applying for, I want you to make sure you know those benefits. Most people will stress, planners, is, claim early, if you claim early, you get reduced benefits. Early is 62. And the other thing is that there's work, and work will influence how much you can get before your full retirement age, how much you can make in income before your Social Security benefit starts to be reduced. And then there's also what's called provisional income, which I'm not going to go into today because it's got lots of rules and numbers to go with it, and I already feel like I'm droning on with you guys. But basically, for provisional income, that's when you look at you are married together, you've got income coming from investments, you've got income coming from other places. If you hit a certain income threshold, then part of your Social Security will be taxed. So it's just something to be aware of. There are taxes that can happen. It's not always tax-free. But the wonderful thing is you can get it. Now, on to the bigger question of will it be here? None of us have a crystal ball. What I can say is, it is scheduled to run out of money. Not necessarily, run out of money. That's just a good way to put it because that's the easiest way to think about it. And what if that were to happen? Then you would still get checks, but they would be paying. You'd get like a reduced check. So it'd be 75. Right now they're projecting 75 cents on the dollar. So you'd get 3/4 of your check as a reduced amount in Social Security. So you still would be getting something. It's not going to be a $0. All of a sudden one day you don't get checks anymore, but it may be reduced. So it is something to think about when you're planning. It tends to be that, Social Security, there's so many people on it. People have been paying into their whole lives. It's a very hot topic. And politicians have not, had the mental toughness to want to fix anything for so many years. They just figured they'd kick it down the pike. We are coming to the end, I will say, where we can't keep just kicking it down the pike, and something is going to have to be fixed. I don't know. I don't have the correct answer because there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of different ways, but it will need to be fixed. So to make sure that it is stable and it will go forward, because it is a really important piece for so many seniors and so many Americans. So I do believe that they will find a way to fund Social Security so that it will go on as you get older and draw on Social Security amounts. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of guidance and some things to think about. First of all, I want to say, become familiar with your Social Security record. Go to go to ssa.gov and set up a My Social Security account if you haven't done so already. Because there you can see your record, whatever they have for you, and whatever's projected for you to get at your full retirement age, and then they'll back it down to 62 and up to 70. So you get a good idea of what that amount is that you can plan for income. There are some ways to maximize Social Security, and it can mean, especially for a married couple, $100,000 over the course of the long time that you are retired. So if you can delay. If you're still working, don't take it. If you don't need it, don't take it. In a married couple, a good rule of advice would say whoever makes more money in Social Security would be the one to delay. So, for example, this is meant for educators, right? I'm talking to educators. So for you, it's probably going to be your spouse that's got more money in Social Security and has a higher benefit. So if they can wait until 70 and get the highest benefit they possibly can, that means your survivor benefit's better and everything. And that makes such a big difference, because when we're dealing with widows and widowers, it's such a tough time to then say, okay, well, your income's gone down, but your expenses haven't, or they may have even gone up, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and it's overwhelming. So to at least have one more piece of the puzzle that's kind of put together there is a really wonderful thing. The other thing is, if you're at the top of your game, if you're at the top of your game and you can work a few more years, you'll bump it up a little bit, which is nice. You certainly want to coordinate with your spouse if you're married, and you want to make sure you're coordinating with your pension, which is really, really important, especially if this is something that you had not planned for before. You had your STRS pension, you got your Social Security now that you can put in, and then you got your investments to fill out the third leg of the stool or the bucket to help you plan that retirement stream income for when you're retired. Now's the time for Rookie's Quote of the Week. Retirement is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of the open highway. Plan wisely. Drive confidently. Thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. It's been a tough week for me. I wanted to give a shout out to my production crew that really has come and helped me along the way. I have been under the weather and probably still sound like it, and you can tell I had to stop and cough. But they've been great and helped me and got as much done as they could so that I could just focus on being able to show up and do this. So I want to give a shout out to them. The people that we depend on are so important to us. So, takeaways for today. One, I hope you realize Social Security is an essential piece of a retirement income plan. And you can optimize it with timing and with knowledge. Next week, we're going to go ahead and keep diving into Social Security, maybe look at a little bit more about taxes and Social Security, and answer your questions. So if you've got them, please put them in the comments below or DM me on LinkedIn. Let me know. I would be happy to answer your questions. Let me know what they are, and I'll bring them up. All right? So if you would like a personalized Social Security review, I'm happy to chat. You can schedule a 15-minute call with me on my calendar. The other thing is, remember that I have a resource center that's available for you to use. It's full of financial information that would be helpful. I have a masterclass that's just built for women in education that I put together. And then there's also an in-depth one on financial basics that go over everything and help you walk through everything. Things to give you the tools to be successful, because that's my goal, is that you would be successful and we'd have a community of educators that are financially savvy. and successful in their financial endeavors. So, once again, if you could like, subscribe, share, please share this with other people. I know sometimes it's hard these times to be able to do it when you have to pick a time, but we do have replays, and if you subscribe, you get a link to the replay and it reminds you so that you don't miss a week. Thanks again for joining me. I am so appreciative of you taking your time out to spend some time with me. Have a wonderful week this week.